Good evening to all of you, and thank you for joining us here on 13 Plus. I'm Mary Coleman. Hope you're having a great week so far. Very happy Wednesday to all of you. Well, human trafficking is a crime that often hides in the shadows and can take on many forms. In 2023, there were more than 15,000 victims. In most cases, we are talking about sex trafficking. Our national investigative team found how one city is changing its approach and the impact it has on handling the problem.
Selling freedom for profit, human trafficking is a multi-billion-dollar criminal industry that denies human rights to millions of people around the world. I'm Tisha Powell.
And I'm Lee Zurich. The crime is often hidden from public view and tough for law enforcement to find. In 2023, the National Human Trafficking Hotline identified nearly 10,000 cases of human trafficking involving nearly 17,000 victims, and a majority of the cases involved sex trafficking. To prevent this specific form of human trafficking, officials in Portland, Oregon say they have shifted their mindset from prosecuting sex workers to supporting survivors.
Investigative reporter Ezra Kaplan takes an in-depth look at how the approach works.
Driving along 82nd Avenue in Northeast Portland, the city's vices are on full display. Alongside the dispensaries, liquor stores, and adult video shops, sex workers walk the streets, waving to cars, making clear what is for sale.
It's a place in the city where everyone knows that you can go to find women who are out walking. Like I said, either being compelled to do it or maybe doing it on their own.
Sergeant Christy Butcher leads the human trafficking unit with the Portland Police Bureau. Her team of plainclothed officers in unmarked cars focus much of their work on this small part of the city.
I've been a police officer now for 20 years. Before I got in this unit, I would have told you, oh, human trafficking is not that big a deal in Portland. Yeah. And it's the furthest thing from the truth.
On a regular basis, the unit is joined by patrol officers as well as liaisons from the FBI and the district attorney's office to conduct enforcement missions.
How likely is it that there's also a human trafficker within eyesight?
In our experience, we think it's pretty likely. Keep your head on a swivel. This dangerous area, super dangerous game.
She says over the past 2 decades, their approach to each case has changed.
I remember as a young officer being a decoy on the street, and arresting buyers. But then I remember, arresting women for the crime of prostitution on a regular basis as well. I think we've come a long way.
Instead of being arrested, the women are treated as victims of human trafficking.
I would like to keep her out of a holding cell if possible.
Her officers work with victim advocates to provide services and a path out of the trafficking life.
If you guys need help with an advocate, I'm happy to page one out, so just let me know.
Robin Miller is one of those advocates, using her own life experience to relate to victims.
I have a lived experience. I can just meet them immediately where they're at, and they know it because if I come out on the corner and say, I used to be on this corner, it's like watching something fall off of the person. And then it's not that they necessarily trust me in the immediate, but there's an understanding. And I would say even a respect.
30 years ago, she walked the streets of 82nd Avenue, working as a prostitute.
I had a pimp. I met him at a club. I left with him one night in a blackout, woke up in Tacoma. And then the next day I was in San Francisco on the street, and that lasted for 6 years. I went to jail a lot in a lot of those places, and it is part of my story, but I recognize that it doesn't and shouldn't be part of anybody's story.
It's a philosophy shared by the Portland Police and Multnomah County Prosecutor's Office. Victims get support while buyers and traffickers go to jail. Officers and prosecutors can attempt to track them down by circling the block or talking with women known to be sex workers. But building a case against buyers and traffickers can be difficult.
These cases are super difficult to prove.
One of the challenges all prosecutors face, but it becomes very apparent in trafficking cases, is in order to bring a case, witnesses have to testify.
Senior Deputy District Attorney J.R. Ujafusa leads the human trafficking team for the county's district attorney. He says the women caught in the middle are rarely ready to trust the police or prosecutors who are trying to get them out.
And in many cases, victims believe that it's their fault or it's their idea because they've been manipulated and controlled to believe that it was their idea, even though someone, a third party, is taking advantage of them.
But he says these cases can progress at whatever speed the victims are comfortable with.
There have been cases that I get called in the middle of the night and it's a young victim in a hotel room who's wanting to talk and wanting to cooperate, and that grand jury can happen the next day. And there have been cases that we've indicted that it's 16 years later.
He also knows that testifying means having to relive the most terrible parts of a survivor's life.
There is an argument to say that getting someone onto the witness stand is re-traumatizing them. What I will say, though, is from my over 10 years of experience working with victims, for some victims, it's closure. It's a way for them to tell their story, and it's a way for prosecutors, juries, judges to reaffirm that what happened to them is not okay.
Advocates say it often takes many interactions before a victim is ready to accept help. But when they are, there's an entire support system.
Minimally, like a victim's advocate, a mental health support, the medical aspect, which may involve drug and alcohol support, and then schooling and like all the other things that come next when you start to look at actually just not just surviving, but trying to thrive.
Esther Nelson Garrett founded the nonprofit Safety Compass, which specializes in providing services for sexually exploited people under the age of 25.
And so we're bringing them into our office here anytime, 24 hours a day. We'll open it up. We've got a clothing closet where we've got clothing of all different sizes.
It may seem like a small gesture, providing basic life necessities, but she says it goes a long way in building trust.
So it's nice to be able to give them something that's theirs in exchange for nothing.
The nonprofit also has a safe house for survivors.
So we've taken a lot of steps to sort of protect that space. It's centrally located in the region that we serve, but we don't give people any more information than that because sometimes their traffickers are trying to find them.
And the danger is real. According to research from the United Nations, the likelihood a female sex worker in the U.S. will become a victim of homicide is 18 times higher than women who do not engage in sex work.
Sex trade is inherently violent and deadly. This is not fun.
Miller knows that she can't save everyone she meets. She says that's the hardest part of the job. But what she can do is be there to help these women with long-term recovery.
I just want them to know that they're seen and they're loved and that they're valued and they're valuable. I want them out. I don't want anybody out on the street. I want them to believe in themselves and believe in their future, believe there is a future.
The district attorney's office told us while it's incredibly difficult to prosecute a case without a victim testifying, it's not impossible. Prosecutors say cell phones can be crucial for gathering evidence. If you or someone you know needs help, you can call the Human Trafficking Hotline at 888-373-7888.
We will leave you with a live look from our Mount Bigelow cam tonight where you can see that gorgeous sunset. We hope you're having a great night and will join us for more news and weather coming up on 13 News Live at 10. We'll see you later.